This week in comic books over in the land of DC, Robin comes out, Robin number 8, and this was the big moment. And then I found myself saying, at this point, I don't care. It's so bad. Over in the land of Marvel, X-Force comes back out, and Liefeld is jumping on board with this whole multi-dimensional time travel with variant mess to the point to where this is what I kind of expected all of them to do, just be a confusing mess. It's just a confusing mess, like I, I, in a way I can't even describe. In the land of independence, I only picked up one independent, and that was Friday, so we'll chat about that. Also, real quick at the end, I'm just going to do a couple of short, quick takes on He-Man, Hawkeye, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, because I've actually had some time on my hands, so I was watching TV, so that's really good. So my quick takes on those. So let's jump into it and throw that intro out there. Hey, you wonderful weirdos, and Pocan Joe, and a super special happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. I hope you all are getting filled up on gravy and turkey and stuffing and whatever else it is that you decide to sit around with whoever else you decide to sit around. So from the clan Pocan to all yours, happy Thanksgiving. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about comic books now, because that's why you're here. I want to talk about right up off the bat, I got Detective Comics number 1045. I went with, that was a horrible glare, but I went with that foil, comic book retailer shop day one. I wanted to spice up the collection a little bit, and I don't have that much foil anymore. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And they sold to me, I think it was like $1 more than the regular trade dress. So, and I really liked this one. I liked the colored foil. Ooh, that's like a laser shining in your face. So what happened in this one? We finally beat Parasite, or did we? The Parasite, if its very own nature, is almost impossible to kill, so I'm pretty sure that character will be coming back. But also the Mayor and Batman are kind of like, we don't have to like each other, but we may end up having to work with each other. So there may be some sort of relationship there. Maybe they'll kind of pump the brakes on the whole visual anti thing and kind of focus, which would throw off everything in Future State. So are we getting kind of tangled in our own little mess here of a story? Or is there a plan moving forward? I think I'm more interested in that than anything else. But all in all, it was okay. It was a Parasite type story is relatively predictable to some degree. Next, we got DC versus Vampires. So this entire issue is dedicated to how Batman does not trust his own family. Like, he literally wanted to find out if any of them were vampires. So, like, all their warm, comforting drinks, served by the butler, were all made from holy water. Right? And he made them meet in the daylight for a change. Because, horrible. Also, Green Lantern kills Flash in here. Green Lantern being a vampire and kind of like the avatar for this super dangerous vampire queen person. Like, can't have a Flash running around, because even if you turn him into a vampire, right, what's he going to do? Because of his metabolism, right? This was smart. This is somebody writing that actually understands and knows their characters and can predict a more realistic approach to them about what would ultimately end up happening. So kudos to the writers. All in all, this is pretty decent. I like dialogue in it. The art's, it's comic book art. But for the most part, I really like the story and where it's going. It's kind of doing it, a kind of an infiltration, conspiracy way of doing it. And I think that's smart. But it can also be very hard when you start getting towards the ending, because all of a sudden you got to jump to a conclusion. I hope they don't do that, but all in all, this is smart reading, and it's even smarter writing, so I like it. Moving on, Robin, number 8. So, right, we're on our last fight, and of course, Hawk wins, right? Hawk, the character, it doesn't really matter. So he wins against Robin in this and kills him, but haha, he has another life. So Robin comes back to life, but if he loses that one, he's like dead forever. They kind of play that game. So what does that mean? Well, he stands up and he's like, I still have another life, but then like it's too late. Mother Souls, this demon comes out of the Lazarus pit because that's all it needed. So, and then I found myself like, so what? Like was just totally not interested. I think maybe it had something to do with the art in it because it was like one little tiny panel of like this demon, being shown, right? A first appearance, if you will. And I was like, that's not like you should have done like a full page thing, like just fire pits of hell. No, it was like, oh, by the way, giant demon just came out of the ditch. And I was like, oh, you really kind of cheapened that. It really took you out of the moment. And I don't much care. I will finish the run because more likely I'll probably put the whole run in an auction or something. But this was the sleeper one for me. So now we need to jump into Marvel this week. What happened in Marvel? So I don't know if you guys are reading this out there. If you're reading this, definitely comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. But Task Force Z, right? Issue number 2 came out. I'm digging this. And I'm not really sure why. That's what I think I like the most about this. We got Red Hood. He's leading a team of zombies. Not everybody's a zombie because it's Mr. Blue characters in there. And this apparently little ghost devil woman is too, which we kind of see her and get her name. Her name's Sundowner. Can't really be out in the sunlight, or has to be out in the sunlight because if she's not, she like turns into like this demon monster thing. I like that. That was probably the most intriguing thing about this character so far because we've seen her before, but they never really explained her. Bloom is just a creepy dude. Like whenever they go on a mission, he like disappears and goes and does something else. So this picks up right where we beat Mr. Freeze, and then we get launched into another mission. Like immediately after that, to go get another team member. Is it Deadshot? Is it Deadshot? It hinted towards Deadshot. He even said Deadshot. But is it Deadshot? Is Deadshot dead and he's a zombie? Like I'm not really sure. Like I said, it was the last little panel in there, and I thought that was a good reveal. I think that kind of combs out their little team there, and it's just fun. It's comic book woo woo at its finest, right? Like reanimating, dead villains to be good. It's like a Suicide Squad, Marvel zombie mashup thing. It's fun, and I enjoyed it. Next, all right. So normally I'm not a huge Black Panther reader. I like Black Panther in the context of him being in a team, but I did pick this up because, and you'll notice why right up off the bat, it's Scotty Young cover. My wife collects Scotty Young covers, and I absolutely hated this. I thought this was so bad that ethically this is bad, right? Basically, if you don't know, in Wakanda went from a monarchy, right, to like this kind of fictitious, and I say fictitious, um, representation of a government. But the king can still make decisions, but he gets shot down. Obviously, there's no parliamentary procedures, no decorum. Whenever they're deciding things as a Congress, it's just like people are shouting and ranting, and it's getting frustrated by the leaders. And then, like, and I posted it on Instagram, this kind of aha teaching moment that basically said that free people are just stupid, right? And, the king must still tell them to listen to the government. And I was just like, that's bad. It was a bad line of dialogue. I'm not sure what the writer was thinking when they threw that in there. It's definitely something I can't stand behind. Like, if our president, or even, I'll tell you what, I'll even go so far as if the mayor of my little area right here popped off with some stuff like that, we're gonna have another revolution down here in Chesapeake. I'm just saying, it's like, it was so bad. Next, Hawkeye came out, and it's Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. I don't know why. What would make them possessed to do an issue number 1 right now? Can you think of one? Maybe the TV show? I don't know. I don't really know much about this character. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to judge this hard. But apparently what I'm getting is she was part of like a California Teen, Titans type of, not Titans, it's Marvel, but whatever the West Coast Avengers thing was. Apparently she was over there because she had to get away from the rich, snooty life. She has a dog, which I saw the show, and I thought, from what I know, from what I've read in this, and what I saw in the show, I was like, okay, they're kind of being comic book accurate in here. Like, there was a lot of hidden sports things. All right. But she has to go back home because apparently her sister who's like high society, they're rich people, are having a problem at a resort, right? Things are missing, people are missing, stuff like that, and she's on the case. So she's more of a detective type character archetype, I'm assuming, right? With skills, right? She's a Batman, a female Batman that wears purple. I don't really know. All in all, this was a fun book. It was fun at best. Probably something I'm not going to be reading a whole lot of. Again, it was a Scotty Young cover, otherwise I wouldn't pass it. But I am happy I read the first issue for the most part. It seemed pretty cool. Next, I probably a book that a lot of people were on the fence about before it came out, and this was this new Donny Cates Hulk run. I will go out there and say it. I thought this is great. I loved this first issue. I loved this concept of this storyline and where it's going. Uh, Hulk being augmented with technology, so he can be treated kind of more like a spaceship with the subconscious brain of Bruce Banner kind of controlling everything in kind of a meta way. And then the power of everything, we're just going to use Hulk's rage by pissing him off all the time. The other part of him, the rage part of him. I think this is smart because this is indicative to people, right? You have your outer shell, right? You, the person, acting in an environment. You're not going to always act the same way in one environment versus another. It's nothing more than a vehicle to get you around. Then there's the logical part of your brain that has to decide on where to go, how to go, what to do, what to say, right? And then there's always that emotion, right? Rage is just an emotion. This emotion that you can use to fuel your action. So if you're angry, right, or if you're scared, right, you get angry to push through that kind of thing. I liked this. This is very good, and it's very indicative of the self-conscious. And Hulk's always been a good allegory for that. So I like where this is going. Now, the story itself, it's kind of campy. I'll give it that. But I really like where they're taking this, and I want to see what it's like, that journey, right? Because that's really what you're doing now. You're going through the journey, the hero's arc. In this one, you're literally traveling. So will it be through time, space, whatever environment they take them in? I hope they kind of roll all that into one so you can kind of sit back and reflect on what's going on in the story. So this is probably my deep dive for the week. I enjoyed this. Next, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the non-thinking book, the thing just to kind of read and enjoy, was 90s fanfare itself, X-Force. So for some reason we brought back Major X and like 4 versions of him. We got 4 versions of Cable in this. We got, I don't know how many versions of Deadpool. Tons of versions, Shatterstar, right? Like just tons of versions of everybody going to go beat Strife. Strife is doing something, right? I want to say it's almost like a Death Star type of thing, I guess. I don't really understand it because it wasn't explained in this book. Now, if it was explained in some other book or some other run, please comment down below and let me know, because I'm kind of confused. At one point, I'm not even sure which Deadpool was the one that betrayed them versus, like, this was just a mess. It's a mess, and it's nothing against Liefeld or anybody that wrote it. This is complicated storytelling to begin with when you have a bunch of the same things and yet you need to make them different. It's kind of like, you see a thing of geese, right? A gaggle. I think it's a gaggle of geese, whatever you call a group of geese, right? And then they all look the same, they all sound the same, and then you're like, oh, that's Fred, Jimmy, Jake, and it's like, how can you, right? You can't really depict them as a personality. So that's what it felt like to me. I don't know. Next, last for Marvel, we got Thor. So this is going to be picking up on the God of Hammers. I hope that is a kind of a poke at the movie, what they said in the movie about you're not the God of Hammers. So if you don't know, just to catch you up, Thor's hammer's been stolen, right? And a bunch of Thorgy and a bunch of other animals are on the chase for the ridiculous side of the story. This is going to take a more serious side of the story where Thor has to go get with Dad, who, they kind of sort of are on speaking terms, at least after Mommy and Sister got involved. He goes there for help, to her for help. He's battling out being an old biker dude. So they go to where the Mjolnir was made, to those dwarves, right? And they come find out all the dwarves are dead. So whoever stole the hammer is like dropping any way to get tracked because that was the goal, right? Go there, talk to the dwarves. They can apparently do some magic woo woo stuff and track it down. Haha, our villains one step ahead of everybody and dropped all them poor dwarf bodies. So yeah, that's a short story for the most part. A lot of dialogue in this, though. A lot of nonsensical dialogue, but nevertheless. My only independent this week was Friday. This is a Scooby-Doo mystery. It's like if Daphne grew up and went to college and left Shaggy behind, and Shaggy was like, "No, I still want to do mysteries." There's a cool preface to the story though, where they're kind of taking like a Blair Witch type effect to it. I think it was called the White Lady, who sacrificed the weakest of their children out there. There's something spooky going on in the background here, but it was kind of overshadowed with this kind of ridiculous story. Yeah, at best. I could, it was an issue one. If an issue two pops out, I probably want to know more about the occultic stuff going on in it than anything else. So, yeah. All right. In the mail, I got something pretty cool, and I'll be sure to leave this individual's link in the description down below, along with a couple other links for you guys. So, a gentleman, Nerd Herd, Nick the Comic Nerd, sent me some of his stickers, and I said I'd be sure I put them out there. So we'll make sure we get those on the old welding helmet for the Evil Air, or at least one of them. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of these. I don't know. I'll put them someplace. I promise. We'll put them probably put them on a toolbox, or we'll spread them around. That would be kind of cool. So thank you, Nick, for that's for the stickers. I appreciate that. That's really cool. Also, so movies and shows this week that I watched He-Man Part 2. I don't know why. It was still just as garbage as Part 1. And look, I'm not one of those guys that kind of tags along with all these guys that say a bunch of hate. I'm saying the story was fundamentally written poorly. It's just a poorly written story. And the dialogue is kind of, I don't even want to say campy. It's worse than campy. It's just nonsensical in most scenes. And I was just like, why is that happening? Why is this happening? Like, you shouldn't have to ask those kind of things if you're being told a story. Yeah, I wish they would just give up on that. Hawkeye. I actually enjoy that show. I thought that was really cool. I love what they did real smart with the credits, because one of the arguments is, with a Mary Sue type character, is that they're just automatically good at everything, right? But the credits kind of showed this progression of where our Kate Bishop character ended up. Like, she'd get it handed to her or lose archery competitions, right? And then, she had to work to get better. So we kind of got the hero arc right there, and then we can jump right into our story. And Hawkeye in it is hilarious. There's so much just good humor in it, just good wholesome humor in it. Last, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I enjoyed that. That was some fan service there, done correctly, and still able to tell its own story. So I thought it was refreshing. It really was. 10 times better than that 2016 mess. All right, guys, so what else is going on in the community? Tomorrow night over at DJ Links, they're going to have another rap battle. And I don't know, maybe your boy Pokehead Joe will make an appearance. Maybe, place judgment on people's rhyming skills. I don't know. But that link will be in the description below, too. So if you're so inclined, swing on by. That will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's really no other time zone. It's just Eastern. Everybody else is just catching up to us. That's all it really is. All right, guys, I got nothing else. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you again. The turkey's about done. I'm about to eat. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.